Hi, I'm Leon Lovelace, and this is Unstoppable Force. Normally, I don't do videos that criticize, independent media. I don't really feel a need to really criticize Jank or Kyle or from Secular Talk or Jimmy Dore from his show, The Jimmy Dore Show, or TYT in general. Normally, because I just need to cover other stuff besides that. But I think they really missed the ball on this one, and this is really important. And it's about them having Khanna as one of the Justice Democrats. I didn't pay too much attention to him, but I did see that he was on Jimmy Dore's live show. He might have been on it twice. And I just like what he had to say about how the Democratic parties doesn't really have a direction because they're not willing to stand up for the people, not wanting to fight for single payer health care, not wanting to fight for $15 minimum wage. Now they're still going on with these perpetual wars, all this interventionism, which is really just destructive to us and the people that live there. So he said some progressive things. So I was thinking that he'd be good to be on the Justice Democrats. But then Jane, I believe, from the same progressive, she did a video about how he's actually just a wolf in sheep's clothing. Because WikiLeaks, they just give us some great information. So whenever people want to hide some shit that just has all their corruption, just, this little package, or maybe it wasn't really that. He was hiding it. He was hiding it, but it's not like it was a big secret earlier, like before 2016. But I have the WikiLeaks email right here, and this is back in 2015. This is from May 14th of 2015, and I'm gonna read at least some of this email. I'm not gonna read the whole thing because the whole thing's not really important. Because I also need to talk about other things that's been mentioned and written about him. But this is from his campaign manager, Steve Spinner, and his email is sent to John Podesta. It says, John, thanks for meeting with me today. Great chat on a number of things. I'm excited about helping in any way I can to make sure the Clinton campaign gets the enthusiastic support of Silicon Valley tech community, past Obama donors, and the South Asian community. So you're already not that progressive if you want to get excited and you want to really enthusiastically help the Clinton campaign. Because she has been bought and sold by the big pharma, big pharmaceuticals, the oil and gas industry, a whole sorts of other issues that she has a problem with. She is not for the people of the United States. Back in 2015, for him and his campaign manager to say, yes, let's get right behind her. That's a real big problem. And this is one reason why he didn't campaign with Bernie Sanders, or I don't think he talked about Bernie Sanders during the Democratic primaries at all, because before they even started, he was already behind Hillary Clinton. Before it even started, I think quite a bit of other Democratic representatives, they're saying, hey, I'm with Hillary, I'm with her, before it even started. It says right here, John, you're one of the few statesmen in our party with the stature and vision to solve this. I know it's the right thing to do, a legacy issue for our party, and will pay dividends for the Clintons for many years. So let's just help out the Clintons because it's going to be great for the legacy. Not because it's great for the people, it's great for the nation as a whole, but it's great for the Clintons and for the Democrats. And there's more. It says, Khanna is the first true Silicon Valley candidate. Roe, who is 38, has received the support of over 600 technology and financial leaders, more than 6 times what President Obama received in 2012. This includes both Democrats and Republicans such as Eric Schmidt, John Dare, etc. Roe has raised nearly $5 million in 2 years without any help from party committees or elected members or officials. Now, when you're focusing on raising money from big donors and corporations, you're not for the working class of Americans. You can say all the shit you want and talk about how you're going to introduce a bill here and there about helping people, but when you're talking about how you need to raise money and you've raised this much money without help from the DNC or any other committees, you're bought and sold already. So we don't need none of that shit in the Justice Democrats or the Democratic Party anymore. They also talk about they want to deliver minorities to Hillary Clinton too, because right here it keeps going. It says, in this cycle, Rose Tech and South Asian donors can be a source of over at least $50 million for the Democratic Party in national races. Over 70% of Rose donors are first-time donors. Many will be expired to give big once Roe wins, or early if we can convince Han to retire and pass the baton to Roe. Then it goes on a little bit about identity politics, because it says a little bit later, it says, the district he is running in has the second largest Indian American population in the nation. The South Asian community that looks at what the party has done to promote the Castro brothers or Cory Booker wonder why the party can't help Roe across the finish line to get into Congress. They're frustrated that the Republicans have helped Bobby Jindal and Nikki Haley. Yes, we do want minorities to be in Congress and be in the government so they actually represent the people of those communities. But if they're just bought and sold like all these other white boys out there, they're going to sell their fucking ass just down the road, just like all them other guys have been doing for the last 30 plus years. So it kind of doesn't really matter about the race of the congressperson whenever they're bought and sold. So then a little bit farther down, it talks about how Rose expected to raise $4 million again for the cycle. This is effort and money that could be far better spent in the presidential race helping Secretary Clinton win. So remember that this is before the primaries even start. So they're already talking about how we don't want to spend the money on this head-to-head congressional race right here, because we already want Honda, to bow out a little bit early. Because we're going to raise a bunch of fucking money and we're going to send it to Hillary Clinton so she can win. So let's not talk about how Hillary Clinton's a shitty politician, how she needs to actually go and fight for progressive policies and say, you know what, Obama fucked up and my husband fucked up, so I need to actually start saying, you know what, we're actually going to help the people of the United States. They're just talking about how what we need to do is we need to push her more money to make sure that she can win. Who gives a shit about what she says or what she believes? All we need to do is make sure she gets as much money as she could possibly get so she could win that presidential race. Oh, and this is great right here. Khanna has been a loyal supporter of Hillary Clinton, unlike Mike Honda. Roe worked with Amy Rao and Jonathan Mance to help Hillary Clinton in 2008, and before that supported Hill PAC. So now he talks about he doesn't take PAC money, but before he supported super PACs. He did a number of fundraisers in the South Asian community for Hillary Clinton in 2008. Here it goes a little bit later in it. Speak to Leader Pelosi. She is very fond of Roe. So if he was a progressive and he was really trying to overthrow some of this corrupt bullshit that's going on with the Democratic Party, the leader of the House right now, or the minority leader, Nancy Pelosi, wouldn't be fond of him. She'd be upset and wanting to try to cut his funding a little bit. Like what happened with Tulsi Gabbard. She went and said, you know what, I'm with Bernie Sanders. I like his message. And they all automatically, already, a few days later, they talked about how we need to cut Tulsi Gabbard's funding. They threatened her so much, they made her fucking quit out of the fucking DNC. So when you're with a progressive in the Democratic Party, they kick your ass out. They don't say, oh, well, let's, even though we don't like their policies, will still, work with them. No, they kick your fucking ass out. Because being a progressive is not being with the donors. The Democratic Party is all about being with the fucking donors. And here's really important. Khanna is likely to vote against the TPP despite the White House's wishes. Roe has come out for it. White House could make it clear to Khanna that the president would dual endorse this time. So he's for Hillary Clinton, or he was, at the very least, he was for Hillary Clinton. He's for the TPP. He was for super PACs. That is not someone that's trying to get money out of politics at all. Then also have an article from The Intercept, and he was interviewed by Zaid Jilani. Interesting name. I hope I pronounced it correctly. But I'll try to put a link in my description box below so you can read this article. Because I'm only going to read some of it because this video is getting kind of long already. Now I really need to do a video on President Obama taking $400,000 from Wall Street. But the reporter says, some people have been critical. I'm sure you heard the news that President Obama has started to join the paid speech circuit. He's speaking to a Wall Street group later this year. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you think that says anything about his worldview and sort of how Americans reflect on the relationship between the Democratic Party and big money? Now, Ro Khanna says, I'm much more focused on policies. I don't think that he's not a private citizen. What matters to me is, are you for a financial transactions tax? Are you for stronger antitrust protections? Are you for ending corporate tax deferrals so companies can bring in and are paying tax on overseas money and are hiding money offshore? Are you for limiting stock buybacks and reinstate the rule that was repealed in '82 that made it easier for companies to just engage in stock buybacks? Are you for helping break up big banks based on antitrust regulations? Those are the issues that I think speak to people. My view is people want to have a fair policy that's going to improve their lives and make the country better. So he goes on all these progressive policies that we do want. And that's a lot that's going to really help out the people. But it'd also be a great thing for him to say, you know what? President Obama, he was fucking corrupt. He didn't do all these things about breaking up the big banks, ending these corporate tax referrals, and trying to do all these other things to really crack down on Wall Street and make sure we could give that money back to the people with things like better education. Let's put more money to K through 12 education, especially in the poor communities. Make sure those schools aren't getting closed down. Let's do a jobs deal. Make sure we can put people back to work. We could give people good paying jobs. Make sure we could fix our roads and bridges. We could start cleaning up any of the environmental waste or any of the pollution that all these industries are just kicking out into our waterways and our soil. And we're going to tax them if they're not cleaning this shit up. We're going to tax them heavily on it. All these things that Obama didn't do. But no, he just skirts around it. He is a good skirt, but he just skirted around it. He didn't want to say, you know what, Obama's corrupt. That's why he's taking all the money now. Because he didn't regulate them, so now they're paying them. This shit is for services rendered. He did what their bidding was. Now they're paying his ass for it. But I also found this article in Huffington Post, and it talks about how some of his donors had some problems with them, and they wanted a refund. Okay, it says, I'm gonna leave a link for this article too, so you guys can read the whole one. But I'll start with this. Instead of challenging the freshman Swalwell, Khanna announced he would instead run in the 17th district and challenge fellow Democratic Rep Mike Honda, another veteran Bay Area progressive. Voters exchanged Stark and Honda for Swalwell and Khanna. The region would have been jolted considerably in the conservative direction. The move surprised some of Khanna's 2011 donors, who are also longtime supporters of Honda. Earlier this year, 3 of those contributors, after consulting with Honda's campaign, approached Khanna's campaign about getting their money back. You're not using our money the way you promised, read the letter from Sophia Yin, Silberman and Ted Fang. Instead, you're using it to run against Congressman Mike Honda, a man who has spent his life increasing opportunities for people to better themselves, including you. We cannot support you in this, and we don't want our money to play any part in it either. Khanna's campaign has refused to return the donation, arguing that too much time has gone by. So he's also not against screwing over some of his donors. Some of his donors, especially if they're individual donors that can only give $2,700 to a max, he'll fuck those people over no problem. But if it's a big corporation that's giving them 20, 30, 40 plus $1,000, oh no, they've bought his ass, so he's going to make sure he marches lock and step with what they want to do. Then of course, if the donor said, you know what, if he didn't say he was going to run against, or if he said he's going to run against someone and then changes his mind and says he's going to run against someone else, I think the donors could say that he was being fraudulent and he misled them. So I think that is warranted that they could get their money back for something like that. But according to Khanna's latest campaign filings, one 2011 donation has been refunded. That a tech entrepreneur Carl Page, the brother of Google co-founder and CEO Larry Page. It goes on a little bit more, but it says Yin wouldn't comment on the circumstances of Page's refund, but said she still believes her refund request should be honored as well. I think that Khanna has far more than enough money, and the fact that he chooses to return money to the 0.001% and not me is telling, she said. So yeah, he's for the wealthy people, the plutocrats, and the corporations. He's not for the middle class or the upper middle class. He said, fuck them. Of course, Khanna has billed himself as a tech-friendly Democrat, picking up endorsements from major Silicon Valley players such as Sheryl Sandberg, Marissa Mayer. I'm totally fine with using the money in another race, Yin said of her donation to Khanna. I don't want a single cent of my money to be used against my candidate. Give somebody money and you hope they will use it for the reasons you gave it to them. Alright, then I also found an article from Salon. It's a little older, but it talks about an occasion that was going on during then. It was in 2013. It said, San Francisco's North Beach in Silicon Valley is feeling its oats. The occasion is a $2,600 plate fundraiser at the Park Tavern restaurant for Ro Khanna, an upstart aspirant to represent California's 17th district in Congress. So when you're holding a $1,700 fundraiser, you're not for the people of the United States, because you're not trying to hear about anything that's going to make the poor, the working class people less poor and give them some of the help and some of the funding and some of the money that they need to have a better life. So let's go on with it. Okay, Silicon Valley, he says, needs one of its own in Washington. Introducing Ro Khanna, Silicon Valley's chosen one. Well, what exactly, I'm skipping a little bit, but what exactly does it mean to be Silicon Valley's favorite son? His supporters talk glowingly about how he understands technology at a gut level. He speaks it fluently, says one backer, how necessary it is for a region as critical to the economic performance of the United States to be represented by someone that gets the global economy. So yes, Ro Khanna, now he could talk the talk about he's a progressive, he's with the Justice Democrats, he wants to push the Democratic Party in a progressive way, but actually he's not, and he's not going to do any of those things. He's already done some of those things by pushing for and trying to give money to the Hillary Clinton campaign and supporting the Hillary Clinton campaign before 2016. So there's probably going to be a few other ways that he's going to just screw us over. So just to be sure, if you live in his district, you can't vote for him in 2018, at least if you're a progressive that actually needs someone that's going to represent you and not just the millionaires and the billionaires. And this is also interesting because if we have one or a few more instances of people joining the Justice Democrats and is happens to be the same thing that they're getting a whole bunch of corporate money. It's just not listed on oprahsecrets.org as you're getting PAC money and just all that bullshit. We might not be able to just, we're not going to be able to just say, oh, there's a Justice Democrat, we can vote for them, because Ro Khanna is definitely not progressive. He's not trying to get money out of politics. Alright, love you guys, and check out one of my next videos.